let's just be honest.
Uh-huh.
I know all of you think we are put together, but we're not.
Never.
And we just had the most like rough
Start.
We couldn't get our stories up. Ashley was like, shoot, I didn't get to turn it up. I was like, oh, I forgot to get a fun fact. And then we both just looked at each other and we're like, let's just go.
Let's just, you know what? They love us for who we are. And trying to pretend to be something else right now wouldn't be it. So
no,
this is us. Love us or hate us.
The Hot Mess Express.
We prefer you love us.
With unsolicited advice.
Ashley and Taryne, Hot Mess Express. Woo woo. We are sponsored by Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens is lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals, or artificial anything, while still tasting fan-freaking-tastic. It costs you less than $3 a day, so you're investing in your health, and it's a lot cheaper than your cold brew habit. And something I love is Athletic Greens is a climate-neutral certified company. In 2020, AG purchased carbon credits that support projects protecting old-growth rainforests, which we love. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/advice, ADVICE. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/advice to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Today's episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. HelloFresh delivers pre-portioned ingredients to your door, including farm-fresh produce that arrives within a week, which means you can skip the grocery store and save waiting in long lines and ensuring you don't waste money or excess food. HelloFresh offers the flexibility you need to easily customize your order online or in the app, easily change your delivery day, food preferences, and plan size, or skip a week whenever you need to. My favorite part is how easy it is to follow the directions. There's pictures, it's all measured out for you, and it makes you feel like you're a bougie chef, even if you're like me and don't, have cooking skills. Go to HelloFresh.com/advice16 and use code advice16 for up to 16 meals free and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/advice16 and use code advice16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Today's episode is brought to you by Honey Love. Honey Love is shapewear you actually want to wear. It's designed for comfort and looks. Honey Love's super soft and flexible boning means your shapewear never rolls down, which I don't know about you guys, but that is my biggest pet peeve. And one of the things I love the most about Honey Love is that they cover the shipping and restocking to make all U.S. returns completely free, because there's nothing more frustrating than trying something, getting the wrong size, and then feeling like you just wasted money. So I truly appreciate that. You deserve shapewear you'll want to show off. See for yourself at honeylove.com and get 20% off a second item. Plus, when you use code ADVICE, you'll get an additional 10% off your entire order. Get 20% off your second item plus an additional 10% off at honeylove.com with code ADVICE. honeylove.com, code ADVICE. Rules and restrictions may apply.
I prefer that intro?
Actually, it's not fallen.
Hot Mess Express is
on an
catchy.
audience that hasn't been paying attention. You don't like my segments.
Listen, I love your segments.
No, you're
I just
saying
thought
this
Hot Mess
again
Express was catchy as hell. That's all I'm
because
saying.
the people rose with me to power.
The people united.
I definitely feel like I'm the type that could start a rebellion. I'm very persuasive with my words. People would follow me to the dark.
Oh, for sure. I could see that. To the dark side.
Yeah.
Speaking of, didn't you go to a villain party last night?
Okay.
A villain themed party?
This is... Okay, so we've talked about this before. I feel like in quarantine, people started getting more creative with how do we take situations that we can do right now and like make them fun, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like I've noticed a huge influx of like themed parties or like whatever.
Yeah.
So yesterday it was so chill. It was like the perfect group of people. We're all kind of like family friends, and they text us and said the theme is villains, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. I originally was gonna go as Voldemort for the shock factor because I was gonna do the full like tape down my nose and everything.
Yeah.
And then I just ran out of time, so I went as my favorite villain, which is Darth Vader.
Obviously. If you
Y'all
didn't
don't
know,
understand.
Taryne's a big Darth Vader fan.
You know why I love villains? Because I love trying to fix people. And Darth is the perfect just representation of someone who had like a damaging past that like led him to where he is. But then in the end, he has realization, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. The odds
Daddy
were
Vader.
not in his favor. Daddy Vader.
Which is funny because Vader means father, so I'm basically just saying daddy. Which he is. So that was what I did. What have you been up to, Ash?
Oh, nothing much. I actually had the best weekend. I had one of those weekends. I don't know if, I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to this now that basically most of the country is working remotely from home still.
Yeah.
When you work from home, oftentimes weekends just don't feel like weekends.
So true.
Because lines get blurred.
Yeah.
There's no like clock out at 9 and now you get to like rage on the weekend. You've been home. So it doesn't feel the same all the time. But this past weekend was great. I went to the beach, like rode bikes down by the beach, and even like got together with a friend on Sunday that I hadn't seen in a long time and did like the farmer's market thing on Sunday, and we had brunch, and it was just like a nice weekend, and it felt like a weekend, and I live for times like that.
It's funny. I've even noticed that without realizing I noticed that. Like last night, I tend to just like my days are mixed with like taking a break, doing something, taking a break, doing something all the way till I go to sleep. So like last night I came home and it's Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Like most people are like chilling, whatever. But I walked by and I saw a project in my room that I wanted to do. And I was like, oh, I'm so tired, but I'll try to get this done. And then I had to be like, I'm not separating. Like,
it's the
this
weekend.
Is time to
this
just
is a
chill.
time to
like,
rest.
Yeah.
To like relax and like let your
Which
body
I think
catch
is
up.
important. And I feel like I think productive people don't realize that like chilling out like needs to be scheduled too. Like that is being productive for like your mental health.
I have learned that I am way more productive when I allow myself like allotted time to not be productive.
Yeah.
Because then all of that amped up like energy and drive to be productive like pours into that specific time to work. I feel like I could have worded that better, but hopefully y'all are tracking with me. If you give yourself time to like take a moment, then I feel like I fully execute work mode. Yeah. Which I feel like I'm going to fully execute this week because I had a great weekend.
Heck yeah, girl.
Hell yeah.
Let's do it, girl.
Normally, this would be when I would like slide into like, oh, let's do a tearing it up. Like, let's do our normal tearing it up segment.
Yes.
Which if you guys don't know, Tearing It Up segments are the times when you guys send in hilarious, embarrassing stories. But there's been a lull. There's been quite a lull, a big lull. And
my legacy is dying.
Guys, do not let the Tearing It Up legacy die.
You're killing me.
There have not been that many Tearing It Up sent in, and I know that this is like a loved and cherished time in the podcast episode. So if you have a funny story, this is your calling. This is your time. God is telling you to stop what you're doing and send in your Tearing It Up to unsolicited advice. Send it in.
If it's not, go to our socials.
That's embarrassing. You can also DM them to us on Instagram. Also, if you don't follow us on Instagram, what are you doing? Do better. Follow us on Instagram. But I was thinking, like, Taryne, since this segment is originally all about how embarrassing and awkward you can be. Can you remind us of, like, one of your, like, good, like, old, like, core Tearing It Up stories?
Well, I think, okay, the key to tearing it up is the range is vast.
Right.
Like,
right.
you can have, I know I shared one before where I was at a drive-through and the guy went to hand me my credit card back. And in the midst of it going from his hand to mine, like, he let go before I grabbed on. And it just slid, you know, like the tiny little slit that your window in your car goes through?
Yes.
It literally just went, phoom, and just disappeared in there when we both looked at each other and were like,
God.
what? And he was like, I don't. You know what I mean?
I'm so
like,
sorry.
There's that version where it's just like things happen to you and you're like,
how in the world?
How did that happen?
What are the odds
like,
that my credit
punked.
card falls in that tiny little crack?
Yes. There's also when you do something embarrassing, which I mentioned last week, I like hinted at it, but I'll just say it. Like, I had a very, very large, undying love
This is one
for
of my
this guy.
favorites.
And for some reason, there's a specific type of crush that I get that I don't function well with. Most guys, I'm super charming, I'm funny, I'm like flirty, but like also like a girl you want to hang out with. Like I'm not. I thrive in relationships, so it's fine. But there's a specific type of crush I get every once in a while where I physically cannot function around them. I don't know what to say. I become like an awkward turtle. So this guy brought that out of me, and he was a singer of a band. And I went to one of his shows, and after the show, I was standing with like a group of people, and we kind of like formed like a circle. Like, you know, when you're with a
Like
large
you
enough
do.
group,
Yeah.
you're like, you just kind of form a circle.
Yeah.
So we had formed the circle.
It's this unspoken thing, so everyone can see each other, hear each other, talk,
Yes.
chit-chat.
So we're all like talking. I'm fine. He walks into the circle on the opposite side of me. So I start to like freak out. And then he's like going around and saying hi to people. And he looks at me and he kind of like stepped forward, raising his hand and was like, hey. And so I stepped forward. And then I didn't know what to do, so I kind of like froze. And then he kind of like looked at me, and then I go, and by this point, it was awkward enough that everyone stopped
Everyone's
talking.
trying to figure out what's going on.
And then I
Are
just
they
go,
going to dance?
is that a high five invitation? So embarrassing. And he was like, yeah, sure, yeah. And so he
sure.
stepped up and he like high fived me, and then I went, ow. And then I turned around, and then I literally just left. I just walked away. Most of my conversations with this guy would say something weird and then just walk away. So there's also those where it's like embarrassing.
Right.
But
Guys.
you guys know, like, you know that your party story you tell or the story that you like don't tell anyone, which is why you can write in anonymous.
Absolutely.
So like pour some sugar on us.
Yeah. Send in your tearing it up. We would love to have it. It's we've been missing it.
Yes, we have.
If you guys are like me, you love a good story. Taryne and I are obsessed with true crime podcasts, with learning about history, and even more specifically, we currently have dove into the new Wondery story of Janet Jackson, which dives into detail about the fateful split-second moment in 2004 Super Bowl that we all know and remember when her career took a dramatic turn. If you guys haven't heard already, Wondery, Even the Rich, Janet versus the Super Bowl looks back at her iconic career and the wardrobe malfunction that changed everything. In this all-new season, they track Janet's rise from the kid sister in the Jacksons family all the way to the fallout from Nipplegate. And the most fascinating part to me is hosts Brooke and Arisha dive into the fallout that comes from that moment on all female celebrities from then on and how they were treated. It's very interesting. Listen to Even the Rich and Rich and Daily on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or you can listen ad-free by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app. Okay, so this one goes out to all of my small business people out there. Hello, I hear you and I see you. We are sponsored again by Squarespace, and Squarespace I cannot rant and rave about enough. If you're like me and you're not good with technology, Squarespace is the right place for you if you're trying to sell a brand or a product. Whatever you're trying to sell, Squarespace is there for you. It has the tools you need to get your business off the ground, including e-commerce templates, which I love, inventory management, a simple checkout process, and secure payments. So whatever you're trying to sell, Squarespace has merchandising features to make your product look their absolute best online. You, of course, own all the content that you put up on the Squarespace platform, and they offer one-click data portability, which is amazing. You can grow and engage your audience, which is so important for small businesses with Squarespace email campaigns. campaigns. I usually struggle with these, but they have powerful email content that matches your website with your existing product, blog posts, and logos. So your messaging is consistent and effective, and it takes all the hard work out of it. And then we all know that in order to grow, we need to gain powerful insights into who's actually visiting our site and how they're interacting with our content. And you can do that with Squarespace's in-depth website analytics tool, including page views, traffic sources, time on site, most read content, audience geography, and so much more. So head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/advice, ADVICE, to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
You know, I think there's this misconception about shapewear. I am a curvy girl and I love my curves and I'm not trying to hide them, but I personally like when I feel secure in an outfit. And sometimes you have that one dress that just shows everything and you just need a little extra hug. And that's why I am obsessed with Honey Love, which is shapewear you actually want to wear. Honey Love is made from premium materials and constructed with a signature X that targets and sculpts your midsection without squeezing your natural curves. Honey Love has been featured in the New York Times, Good Morning America, Brides magazines, and has thousands of 5-star reviews. One of my absolute favorite things is that Honey Love's super soft and flexible boning means your shapewear never rolls down. And if you know how annoying that is. See for yourself at honeylove.com and get 20% off a second item. Plus, when you use code ADVICE, you'll get an additional 10% off your entire order. Get 20% off your second item plus an additional 10% off at honeylove.com with code ADVICE. honeylove.com, code ADVICE. Rules and restrictions may apply.
So do you want to rock, paper, scissors for who goes first?
Yes.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Heck yes. I did rock.
Mother F. I did scissors. Okay. Take the floor, Taryne.
Dude, I love winning things. It can be anything. Like, I got as much pleasure out of that as I would if I, won the lottery. Is that sad?
Yeah.
That's how you know you're competitive.
Something's off.
It's fine.
There is no money involved in this.
It's fine. Okay. All right. So, my story is definitely one. We've never talked about this topic.
Really?
And I will say, so one of the reasons I feel like people are afraid to go into counseling is they're afraid. We all have our issues that we're willing to talk about and our issues that we're deeply ashamed of that we don't even talk about with our best friends, right? And I think we have this fear of us getting judged when the fact of the matter is us as humans, we do weird stuff. Weird feelings or emotions come that we can't control. We can't talk. Control. And I think we're afraid of being judged, so we don't tell our therapist. But what we always try to remind people on here is that true people who care about people, they don't go for shock factor. They listen and they try to break down what the situation is, right? And oh, okay, I hear that. Oh, I wonder if this, whatever. I do feel like this is not an extreme situation by any means, but I do feel like this is a topic that would first ignite a response of what? You know what I mean? But I really want to encourage us to strip it down, hear the situation, and then really talk about advice, because this is a weird situation. Okay. To me, I read it and I was like, huh? But I don't think it's very uncommon. And I think we just need to, you know what I mean? Am I making sense?
Color me intrigued.
Okay.
Where are we going with this?
I'm not going to say the title because it fully gives it away. Okay. Hi, Taryne and Ashley. I would like to remain anonymous. I want to start off by saying how much your podcast means to me. I honestly don't know what I would do without it. Also, how amazing you two are to always be so kind and caring about your listeners. I can really tell, and it feels like I'm talking to the sisters I've never had.
Love you.
Anyways, so here goes the dilemma, what she needs advice on. I went through a breakup that led to situations I'm not sure about. My boyfriend and I of about 2 years broke up. I'll call him Aaron. We lived together in his dad's house. We're both 19. It was supposed to be temporary living, but COVID prolonged things. While living with Aaron and his dad, I'll call him Miles, was not as bad as I thought it would be. I found out Aaron had cheated on me. Aaron has a job where he travels a lot and is gone a few weeks every month. Looking back at it now, I feel stupid. I found out through his text messages, and it was really hard to get over in the beginning, but Miles was there for me when Aaron was not. Aaron eventually moved out with his new girlfriend, which left me and Miles at the house. I was going to leave, but Miles wanted me to stay at the house until I was financially stable. One thing led to another, and Miles and my relationship turned not platonic. It's not just sexual. I think I really love him now. I'm not trying to get back at Aaron for what he did to me. I don't even think of him when I'm with Miles. It feels wrong, but also right. I can't stop thinking about anything but Miles. Every time we're together, I don't seem to think of any reason not to be. It's not like I'm a home wrecker. He's single, and so am I. I really think I'm starting to love him, but that scares me because of our dynamic. We do have an age gap of 18 years. But doesn't love conquer all? I really need advice on my situation. I want nothing but brutally honest advice. Love you both. Love, Anonymous.
Oh,
Ash, what did we talk about? Yes.
Well,
yes.
she said brutally honest.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to be shocked. That is a soap opera story if I have ever heard one.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
I think the problem is the way that it happened can seem like you're getting back. Can very much feel like you're getting back at your ex by doing this. Yeah. When obviously that could very well not be the case, but that's how most people would perceive it as.
Yes.
Simply because of like drama flicks and TV shows and just your stereotypical, oh, he cheated on her. Like that's what people would assume. And I feel like that's what makes this even harder to process.
Yeah. See, okay.
18 years.
Okay, so I have two routes I can go with how I feel about this. Because I do think things happen. Like, I know there's been some of my friends that have gotten into situations with relationships that I was like, this is weird. I don't know how I feel about this. But then, like, the more I got to know them, I was like, oh, I do see how you guys, like, genuinely love each other. And they have, like, beautiful relationships now. But, so, like, there's one part that's, like, you know, I mean, we don't know everyone's life. Mm-hmm, we don't know everyone's story.
For sure.
Whatever.
For sure.
But I have a really hard time reading this. And again, I don't know all the details. And Anonymous, like, that's why you should take our advice. Everyone should take our advice with a grain of salt. Like, you apply where it makes sense, but we don't know everything.
We don't know you.
I have a very hard time reading this without being very, very skeptical of the dad. Yeah. Because to me, I think that it's a very large age gap. I also think age gaps diminish in their weirdness as you get older.
Right.
But you said you were 19. And those are very formative years where you don't even know who you are. Like, literally, studies in psychology show 18 to 25 is where you are morphing into the person you are. So to me, even though you are over 18, you are still so young and so moldable and so vulnerable because you don't have financial means. You just got cheated on. So for me, I have a hard time with him swooping in as a person to be comforting you, to providing you a shelter, to then now going into this relationship.
Yeah.
So, and I know this is like, I mean, this sounds like a very serious accusation, right? But like, I'm having a hard time not feeling very protective over you, Anonymous, because I think that this situation sounds like you are going to be very destroyed in the end of this. And that scares me with like how dependent you seem to be on him.
Yeah.
And I do think love is very easy to confuse.
Yes.
I can love someone as a friend. I can love someone because they make me feel safe. And I think when it is someone with the opposite sex, it's very easy to confuse than like romantic physical relationship with, because that's easy to just like cross that border.
Oh, 1,000%. When okay, I fully understand the like older men, exciting, like sexy, like mysterious kind of like the age gap does make a difference like that. When I dated someone when I was 19 and he was 29, and there was this like, he has his shit together. He has a real job. Like he has his own place and a car and like all these things. And at my age, all the guys my age were like hot messes just like me, because we were still trying to figure it out. And there is something super attractive in like someone having their life together when you don't necessarily. Not that you don't, anonymous, but like at the age of 19, who does? So I think there is something exciting about that. And I understand why you're attracted to him. I completely agree with Taryne. This is a grown-ass man who is choosing to date, essentially.
But so that's a good point. Are they dating? Is he taking you out in public on dates? Or is it you guys go home and you have this super secret relationship?
Yeah. But
like that's very interesting.
That is a great question. So it's like, is this a thing that you guys have talked about? Or is this just a thing that happens when you guys are home alone?
Yeah, because that's...
if I'm going to be brutally honest, if that's something that happens when you're home alone, that's a side piece situation.
Yeah.
That's a secretive, sexual, no one needs to know side piece situation. And that's up to you to decide if you want to be in something like that. But it sounds like you said love.
Yeah, you did say love.
That's a very big difference. I would be very concerned about yourself and your emotions and your feelings, because you said love, and I'm curious if he is even in the same boat remotely, or if this is just like a nice little plus for him.
Yeah. So master manipulators do something where
sociopaths.
They isolate. They form a dependence. They seek out where there's a need that they can fill. And I think that, like, that's something to be aware of, because right now you are completely dependent on this man for your emotional needs. You said there's physical there, financially, for literally a roof over your house. You feel betrayed by everyone, but this guy is here. He's literally come in and filled all the gaps that you have.
He's, quote, saved you.
Yes. Yeah. So, and then there's this perfect excuse of, hey, we can't tell anyone because you dated my son, and that people won't understand that. Yeah. So to me, that's why it's hard, because I don't know this man. I don't know his heart. I don't know his intentions. But to me, on the outside, my initial response is like, this is not healthy. This is not good. I'm getting very sketch vibes. So, but I wanted us to like strip back from that initial to talk, because sometimes like I think people come at situations so harshly that then they fall on people that are like, I'm not going to hear anything you say because you offended me. Yeah. So I wanted us to like talk it out that way, because I honestly, my heart goes out to you, Anonymous, because I can't imagine being in that situation. Like how, I don't know how confusing that must be. So, okay. So my advice would be, I think you need to talk to people in your life about this and be very honest. Don't try to like hide things, because I mean, what's the ultimate goal? If you're talking about you love this man, you want a life with him, you can't just like move to another state and just be secret lovers for the rest of your life. Like nobody deserves to have to like hide their feelings. Yeah. So what is the end goal? So you need to talk to like, I would talk to my friends and family about it and just feel it out. And yeah, there's a lot of people that have situations where their friends and family are like, absolutely not, like, no. And then they come around to it. Yeah. But there's also ones where they're like, no, this is not safe. This is not healthy.
Yeah. Well, I would ask yourself, if you were in a position where your family was accepting and was like, okay, fine, well then let's meet him. would you actually be okay with them meeting him?
Would he be okay with
Would
that?
you feel, does that scare you in any way? Like the thought of your family and friends, siblings, parents meeting this guy, does that kind of make you nervous? If so, why?
It's the camp crush syndrome where you're stuck in this small place or your work
think
life.
He's the only option.
There's
You've
so
convinced
many-
yourself.
Did you, when you worked in a hotel, have like your hotel crush?
Yes.
Would you, in normal life
I won't say
circumstances?
his name was his last name was and he came every month for a year and a half, and he had an Australian accent, and he was hot as hell.
Okay, but like, well, that doesn't count though. That doesn't count. Because that's
He was
like
significantly older.
This is a mystery man that comes in with an accent. Everybody, you would love him outside of work. I'm talking about like, you work in an office and there's this guy that you flirt with because he's the only guy to flirt with. And while you're at work, you're like madly in love with him. But if he were to be out in the real world with you, you'd be like, no, everything you does annoy me and I don't agree with this. And like, you wouldn't vibe with my friends. and camp, you go to camp and you have your one crush you're in love with and you're convinced. And then you go home and you're like, oh, I forget. Yeah. It's that he has you in this bubble of like love and dependence and everything's perfect. But life isn't like that. Like, do you want to have kids someday? Is he going to want to have kids with you someday? Yeah. Like, there's so much, like, Christmas, you're going to be with your ex. And, like, there's so much to think about.
Oh, my God.
Where, like,
family dinners with your ex-boyfriend. Oh, my God.
I do think love conquers a lot.
For sure.
I don't agree with the statement love conquers all, because I think that there are some things that are just flat out, like, no. Yeah. But you need to think, what's our end goal here? Also, like, I would start to just pay attention and see, like, am I in a situation that I'm being isolated and dependent on this person? And is that intentional? Yeah. So am
I also like hiding this guy from people who I know would disagree for X, Y, or Z reasons? Also, I know love conquers all, but also in a lot of ways, love isn't enough for a partnership, like for someone to live life with. There's a lot of things that need to be compatible in order to have like a healthy, long relationship with someone. Yeah. And unfortunately, some of that means simple, like biological stuff. Like, are you ready to have kids now? Because I'm thinking about his age and I'm thinking about your age, and that has to be compatible. Like, that's something if you want it, it's going to have to like match up at some point.
Yeah, it's just but again, like, you're 19. Like, I was not
the
thinking
best
about
parts
this
of your
stuff.
life haven't even happened yet.
Like, 19 is when you're supposed to be like going out with friends and like flirting with people, and like
my 20s were a riot. I couldn't imagine being like
So here's my like, if you hear nothing else, this is what I think you should do. You need to get out of that house. Yeah. You need to get out of the house. You need to find something, whether that's with family, whether that's with friends. Reach out to your local church if you need some support, whatever it is. You need to get out of the bubble, and you need to form your own independence, and then see what it looks like. Sometimes you need space from something to really see it clearly. Yeah. And I would be very curious, if you get some space from it, does everything change?
Is he still very attractive? Are you still in love with him?
Like, hey, why don't you come to my place? Or why don't we go meet for lunch? Like, I'm just very curious to see what the dynamic looks outside of that. So that's the number one thing. Number two, you need to think about, like, realistically what a future would look like. Yeah. And if that doesn't match, I know it's easy to just be like, well, I'm not going to think about the future because I'm just having fun now and I'm in love and like I'm just going to enjoy this.
I'm not thinking about marriage. I'm 19.
Yeah, but I think to 5 years later, as women specifically, because we have such a capacity to feel, we need to be more protective with our hearts. And I think sometimes that means cutting something off before it gets too deep, because of the damage that could come from that. Yeah. And I don't, like I said, I'm not putting judgment on you. I'm not.
No, not at all.
But from what I hear, my initial response is my mama bear comes out, and I'm a little worried about the situation you're in. Yeah. So I really think you need to do some steps to make sure you're protecting your heart and yourself, and just to kind of weed out, like,
Yeah.
what really is the situation going on.
Yeah, and just because you're technically not a minor anymore doesn't mean you're not being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are like, I'm over 18, like I'm a big adult, like I can, handle my own, but at the same time you're still so young.
Yeah.
And that there's a naiveness that comes with that age that I just want to make sure that you are aware of, and you're not putting yourself in a very sticky situation.
Like how I can't imagine being in that situation at that age. Like, I feel like that is going to be a very hard road to go down. And that's only if all parties are genuinely in it for the right reasons. Mm-hmm. So I just really think that you need to reflect.
Yeah.
And I do think, I think a lot of times we're afraid in relationships if we feel like we need to take a step back. We're like, I don't want to because I'm scared they're going to leave. The right person's not going to leave. The right person's going to say, I love you. And if this is what you need, fully take it.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's a good kind of test to put towards or to throw at your partner is like, hey, this is something I need as an individual, as a human being. And if they can't be supportive in that, then that's a good moment to be like, okay, well, is this right then? Because I personally need this to know I can move forward.
Yeah.
And if he loves you, then he's going to want what's best for you.
And the first way to know, this is something to pay attention to. If you start being like, hey, I don't know, I've just been kind of questioning things. Our situation's is kind of weird. I'm just not sure if this is right. His response is going to be everything because, and I would Google narcissistic people or manipulative people a lot of times will turn it on to very accusatory, you don't believe in us. Well, oh, well, it's not my fault. Your insecurities are coming in the way of you could have had something if he gets very defensive in that way.
Yeah.
That's a big red flag to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Versus him being like, no, I understand. This is a crazy situation. Do what you have to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's people, if you pay attention,
people tell you everything you need to know.
Everything you need to hear is in those conversations.
Yeah. And Taryne's right. Google it. Google it and be ready for when he gives you his answer, because it'll fall under one of those categories. And we just want you to be safe because unfortunately, obviously this could still very much be a real thing and it could be a relationship, but 99% of the time it doesn't work out and it's weird for a reason, because they're being manipulative. I don't want to use the word predator, but could be a predator. There's so many different possibilities that you have to cross out first before taking it seriously.
Fully.
And we just want you to be safe.
I know. Anonymous.
Anon.
I wish I could just hug you because if I could go back to 19, I feel like I enjoyed my life and I did a lot of things, but I would have gone back and just lived up so much more and really worked on loving myself and enjoying life and not being trapped in different insecurities or relationships or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's such a young age, and I just don't want some damage to come through this that's going to be a lifetime of correcting. You know what I mean?
100%.
So I think that you owe it to yourself to just take a step back, really evaluate, and the right things stay in your life.
Yeah.
And the wrong things will weed themselves out. And it's painful, but you have to do it, you know?
Yeah. It's time.
Yeah.
Ask him the questions, and then if you want to take it seriously, I agree with Taryne, get out of the house.
I think you need to get out.
And then get him around someone who's your friend.
Yeah.
And see how he reacts and how they react.
Yeah.
Also, if you wanted to give us an update, I would love to know what ends up happening, because so curious.
Yeah.
Thanks for writing.
But you got this, and you need to hold on to your self-worth and who you are, what you want.
Amen,
That's
amen.
all important. Start to journal about your hopes and dreams, what you love about yourself. And I would just be constantly checking in to see, is this relationship bringing out a healthy side of me, or is it my Band-Aid right now? You know? But you got this, Anonymous. We believe in you.
Also, if you want to make some money on the side, you could write a really great screenplay.
Right? And I just want to say, I feel like people need to, what we just did, talking calmly about a situation that we might have had, an immediate opinion about. people need to realize that they need to do that more often.
Yeah.
Like, we have to stop just like throwing harsh opinions at people, because I know like there's so many times where I've felt judged by someone, so I'm like, I'm not talking to you about this.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't do any good because I need people's opinions. So I think we all need to like take a moment to just like really get to the root of stuff and have productive conversations.
100%, Taryne.
Productive.
Yes, yes, and yes.
Anyways.
Well, that was really good.
Yeah,
you're right. We have never talked about that.
We've never talked about
on
it
this
and
podcast.
Yeah.
In the 3 years we've been doing this podcast. Also, not to encourage which way, but Halsey's Blue song is your song, Anonymous.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's your song.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's your theme song.
Wow. Wow.
You guys already know this. I am so excited to be sponsored again by Athletic Greens. I am absolutely obsessed. I'm not exaggerating when I say I take it daily. I've even traveled with their daily travel packs, and I take the vitamin D droplet every single day. I'm obsessed. It's so easy. It's so convenient, and you're prioritizing your health and your body, and you're putting yourself first, and that's what our podcast believes in. If you didn't already know, Athletic Greens is lifestyle friendly, so whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, Athletic Greens is made for you. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, thank God, no GMOs, thank God, and no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting absolutely amazing. Also, your subscription comes with a year's supply of vitamin D, which is so important to add in these winter months when we don't get as much sunlight. And my absolute favorite part is it costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health and yourself, and it's cheaper than your coffee habit, which mine, I don't even want to begin to explain how expensive my coffee is. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/advice, ADVICE. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/advice to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
I don't know about you guys, but I feel like everywhere I see people posting beautiful meals they've made or watch videos of people cooking, and it makes me want to do it. But I know from previous experience, I'm not that talented in that area. But when I used HelloFresh, let me tell you, I felt like a chef. HelloFresh delivers pre-portioned ingredients to your door, and you can customize your favorite dishes with their new HelloFresh custom offerings by swapping out one protein or side for another, upgrading for a more luxe experience, or even adding protein to a veggie meal. That means more choices, more variety, and more meals truly tailored to you. HelloFresh cuts back on time spent in the kitchen with meals ready in around 30 minutes or less, plus quick and easy meals, including 20-minute recipes and low prep and easy cleanup options, which provide an even faster route to putting food on the table. One of the things I love about it too is they're so flexible. So, say there's a week where you're traveling or you want to change up your menu options. It is so easy to change your delivery day, food preferences, and plan size, or skip a week whenever you need to. Go to HelloFresh.com/advice16 and use code advice16 for up to 16 meals free and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/advice16 and use code advice16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
Moving on to my story. This one is titled, Why Are Men Intimidated by Educated Women?
Ooh,
no. We're hitting some topics today.
Do you know where Oodalolly's from?
Oodalolly?
Oodalolly, golly, what a day.
No.
Robin Hood, Ashley Nicole, my favorite movie.
I know it's your favorite movie.
It's on in my room 24/7. How have you not heard it?
I don't know.
Rude.
Anyways, diving in to my
Good.
story. She writes, "Hello, beautiful ladies. I have been an avid listener and YouTube watcher of both of your content since 2019. What is up?"
Hi.
Taryne, girl, your YouTube series makes me feel seen, all caps,
Aww.
in the most comforting and peaceful of ways, so thank you. I would like to stay anonymous for the story, so here it goes, ... I love a ... That makes any story just like, oh,
I'm
what's
a ...
gonna happen?
texter.
Same. What is a comma?
We don't know. We don't know her.
She writes, I am 29 years old and blessed with 2 master's degrees, and I'm currently in law school. Get it? Anonymous.
Dude, I have so much respect for that.
What was I
suck
doing?
at school.
What was I doing at 29? Not enough.
Honestly, just graduating college.
Not enough, Taryne. Let me tell you.
It's just, you know what the thing is? It's not that I suck at, I am very smart and I can do good at school. I've always struggled with where I put school as a priority list. Mm-hmm. For me, relationships, doing things I love, like
Work.
all this stuff, anything is like higher than school. So school, because I am smart, I could give a very minimal amount of effort and still slide through. Like no studying, night before glancing over something, night before writing my thesis paper, like no problem. But that is where it got me in trouble. So when it came to my master's, there was like a hiccup in getting in the program because I would have had to take another course where I was like, no. I just graduated. I'm supposed to just go straight in. And just that extra hiccup, I was like, I don't know.
I don't think I need to do it.
So I have so much respect for people who have not only one, but how many? 2?
2
and
masters,
she's in law.
and she's going to law school.
Wow. Snaps for you.
Honestly,
Snaps.
I was a horrible student. It's a wonder I graduated at all.
We related. We're like,
oh my God.
You're still in college? Oh my God, I just graduated.
She continues. Side note, I actually began watching you both because all of the studying I do can make me feel lonely, and watching you guys makes me feel less alone.
Stop it. I love
you
that.
You both will always have a subscriber in me.
I love that.
Let's just end it there. This is the end of the episode, guys. Thanks for listening.
Whatever you want, do it.
I don't know about you. I feel great. She writes, I am definitely at that age where people are constantly asking why I'm not in a relationship and why am I not married. It's like nothing else matters and all the school accomplishments will amount to nothing if I'm not married. The truth is, I do want to get married, but I have very high expectations of men. However, that doesn't even matter because men are often intimidated by my educational status. I love school and I love learning, but it's no secret that men get intimidated by this. Yes. I'm specifically relating to the you're 29 and not married, what are you doing with your life situation? Not the highly educated.
We're like, yes, same.
We're like fully relate on half of that.
Men are so intimidated by my brain.
She continues. With this said, I did find a really good man online a few months ago. I can't lie, he is husband material.
Ooh.
He really likes me and is patient with my schooling and has been very supportive. However, comma.
She's a comma? Oh, shoot.
I can't lie, and I really hope this doesn't come off rude in any way. ...
Oh, shoot.
Him only having his bachelor's bothers me, and in many ways does make me less attracted to him. Period.
That's not fair.
We'll continue. We'll pin in that.
Okay.
Pin in that.
Okay.
But that is what she wrote. And we're continuing on. I'm currently busting my ass in school, so I do expect the same from my future husband. The problem is, men seem to be intimidated when I tell them about how much schooling I've been through. This makes me feel like I can't be too picky when it comes to dating. I have a list of non-negotiables when it comes to marriage, and number 2 on the list is education. First being a man of good faith, which he definitely is. It's almost like finding a really tall man, even if he's not cute initially. His tallness is a trait that makes him even hotter. That's the way I feel about men with at least a master's degree. It makes me even more attracted to them. Am I wrong for saying this? Let's be honest, I'm not getting any younger, and my dream has always been to be a mom and a wife. Maybe because I'm nearing my 30s, I am worried that I am still not married, and also worried about the potential difficulties with starting a family in my 30s. However, I also don't want to settle. I just want a man to match me education-wise, but they are all just not coming around. This guy I met online is great and definitely husband material. He has even mentioned many times that he is serious about pursuing a future with me. I'm just not sure how attracted I am to him, and I think it's because of the difference in education. Does attraction grow in relationships? If so, how? I guess this would be a good time to also let you know I've also never been in a relationship before. ... Wow. The layers. I don't want to let a really good guy go, but I also want a man to match me school-wise. Ugh. I really don't know. What is your take on this? I would love to hear it all. Smiley face. First of all,
I have so many things to say.
There were so many moments I wanted to like jump in really quickly. I guarantee you, Taryne and I will hit all of them. I'm just in no particular order. I just want to be very clear. We can't
I'm stomping at the bit. Ashley, you better say what you're going to say or I'm going to jump in. Hurry up.
I feel like as women, we try really hard to make sure that guys don't have unrealistic standards on how we look, our body shape, our hair. Like there's so many things that we think that men like have high standards on.
Yes.
Like, oh, she needs to be a certain size or I'm not dating her, or education, vice versa. So I think it's also important that we do the same to men. Like we can't expect
he has
them
to be over 6 feet. Ew, he's balding. Ew, he's
Taryne
overweight.
and I were just talking about this the other day, that online dating has made everyone very shallow.
Yes.
Like, oh, if he's not 6 feet and an athlete and has his degree, he's not worth my time.
Yep.
Actually, there's an amazing amount of men out there who are under 6 feet.
Yes.
And you're not even giving them a shot. And we keep going for these assholes, essentially.
So true.
And then we're wondering why.
We are not excluding ourselves from this.
We are not. No.
I am so shallow on dating apps, and every time I'm like, I do something, or I'll be like, ew, I'm like, Taryne Renee.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many things. If you knew a guy looked at you and was like, ew, she's like too big, you would be like, how dare you?
Exactly.
So, okay.
Double standards.
Okay. Here's the thing. I think that women have had to endure just idiots, right? Like there are guys being intimidated by education, fully a thing. Guys being like,
because it's not normal.
Yeah.
Stereotypically.
Yes. I think guys have a hard time with women in leadership. I think guys have a hard time taking orders from women, seeing them as equal. Not all men, but I literally was just having a conversation with my brother about this guy, and we were talking about the situation and how this guy was being such a jerk, and I was like, well, he's being a jerk to his younger woman superior. Like, it makes sense. Like, some men just have that in them, you know? But here's the thing. You cannot complain about men being intimidated by your education and then go on to say, if they only have a bachelor's, it's not worth my time.
Exactly.
Even though those are different sides of a spectrum, it's the same idea. And education is very important to some people, but education is not a tell-all be-all. Like there's so many things that go on outside of it. So I don't think it's the education. I think it's the drive. And I think a lot of men don't show drive. And as someone who's like, no, I'm hustling. I want to get my education. I want to do all these things. That is what you're wanting. But I think that when you start to attach wants and desires with shallow, not shallow,
like numbers.
Like if I say I want security, I could easily be like, I want a guy that makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
Do I really need all the money? No. But I want that feeling of security. So I need to strip the standard being so specific and go back to I want someone who makes me feel stable and secure. Totally different things.
Yeah.
So, but I just Googled for a list of people who never went to college that have done amazing things. Steve Jobs.
Hello.
Bill Gates. Mark Zuckerberg. Lady Gaga. So like college is important, I
Yes.
think. I think you can learn a lot through education, but I also think that like you don't need to as well.
Yeah, I have, she would not mind if I say this. So this is not gossip in any way. But I have a very successful little sister who bought a house in LA at the age of 25.
Yeah.
A house.
Not just a house.
In LA.
Like,
At the
house.
age of 25.
Yeah.
A substantial house. She had a very similar situation around that age where she was like, am I ever going to meet a guy that I can date? Because everyone was like, you own a home in LA? Like, I can't compete.
Yeah.
Like every guy. And that's how she like viewed dating. She was like, oh, that means I have to date older. Not at all. And she would tell you that today. She would say, oh, I'm looking for maturity. I'm not looking for the same level of success.
Yeah.
Because she kept meeting guys that were just as successful. And guess what?
They were
Douchebags.
terrible humans.
The worst.
Terrible
and
humans.
she thought like that was her pool
Yes.
that she was allowed to pull from because she put herself in this small category.
Yeah.
Don't box yourself in thinking that you can only date people who have 2 master's degrees and are going for their law degree.
But it makes sense because she's never dated anyone.
Yeah.
And I really think like once you start dating someone, you start to realize like, wow, the stuff that I thought was so important is actually bottom of my list.
Which was that whole like, oh, I should also say I've never been in a relationship before.
That's
was
what
like,
I'm saying.
oh, there it is.
Because there were things going into my first relationship that were the reason I dated this person. I had this checklist. I want him to be a singer. I want him to be a dancer. I want him to be like literally what I now see are shallow things that I put on my list. This guy checked off, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, like I still was like not getting fulfilled in things that I now know are my core needs when it comes to relationships.
Yeah.
And I think that it's when you are separated so much from it, like I think you have put so much time and effort into your education,
which
is
is beautiful.
I fully applaud and respect.
And you are paving a way.
I'm not diminishing whatsoever. But I think sometimes when we stay so far from something and we start to create like, this is what I want, this is what I need in our minds, you get desensitized to like the real tangible things that are happening in life. So I think that you need to just go ahead and date someone. And all of the times that you have felt judged by your education, when you start to judge someone else for theirs, you need to remember that.
Yeah.
Because it's not fair. And I know as someone who just has a bachelor's, I'm so proud of myself and the things that I have accomplished and what I've done with my life since then. And I don't think that that makes me any less than someone who's had their master's and done all these things. Like, life is messy, but it is also so beautiful. And I think the people who take advantage of their life and like do things and strive to be great, that's the thing that you should want, not necessarily on paper, like what is your level of education.
Yeah, I'm also going to add something else. I'm not saying that this is the case, but it very well could be. So I think it should be said. I do think it would be interesting if you are scared of dating.
Yeah.
And
this
that's
is like
why it's not a priority to you. And this level of the bar that you've set is kind of not an excuse, but kind of like this is why
it's a
I
protection,
haven't tried dating, because it could be a real thing that you might actually be very scared of putting yourself out there in this way. And I get it. Dating can be the worst sometimes. And it's especially when it's not a priority for you. So I would be very interested if you've created this perfect reason as to why you can't date.
Yeah, and I'm sure like you've been in school for so long and put so much time and effort and heart into it that your school is your identity right now.
Right.
So you feel like I can't relate to someone who also doesn't have those things to talk about. So I think even dating someone with a different experience than you is a good way to like open up your view of the world and your view of like what people can be. But you're talking about this guy that you're totally vibing with. Like, don't shut him off. Go out with him and see what he has to offer.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can see, like, what is he doing? If he's like, yeah, I got this job my aunt got me. Like, yeah, so I have weekends. I could do whatever. Like,
I live with my parents. I'm figuring it out. You know,
again, nothing wrong with all of those things taken apart. But if the reason for those things are he just is like no drive, he's just like skating through life, and that's something you don't want, then by all means make that decision.
Yeah.
But I strongly suggest that you try to learn how to separate that, because I mean, that's like me going out and being like, I will only date a doctor. Like, my pool of men just went down tremendously.
Yeah.
And then what if I meet a guy and I'm like, oh, well, he's a doctor, so he's my dream guy. But I'm in this toxic, abusive relationship, but I'm like, but he's a doctor, and that's what I want. Like,
but I got it.
Skews your... I think that's when you get in situations you shouldn't be in, because you focus on details that ultimately aren't the, like, really crucial, genuine parts of relationships.
Yeah. I've said this before on the podcast. I'm going to say it again. I think, Anonymous, what you need to do is stay your course, go to school, like get your degree, shoot your shot with your career and get your law degree complete. You have your 2 masters already. Like, do what you need to do, but stop taking dating so seriously. Dating is meant to be this time when you are allowed to, like, meet people and see how you vibe. This doesn't mean you're going to marry the guy. This doesn't mean that you're settling for someone, even though, you know, he could be a really great guy. Like, it doesn't mean that you're settling for anything. It means you're going on a date.
Yeah.
No bar has been lowered. No settling has occurred. You're simply going out with a guy to dinner.
Yeah.
Let him shoot his shot and give yourself an opportunity to possibly connect with someone.
Yeah.
If you don't connect, then it wasn't meant to be. But if you connect, I would be so curious how quickly you'd be like, oh, he's such a great guy.
Yeah.
You know, like, you just have to give him a chance.
And, like, don't you want someone who's just, like, wowed by your achievements and not sitting there like, oh, that's great, you got your 2nd master's. Yeah, I'm working on my... Like, I just feel like there's something so fun about being in relationships with people who have different... Like, I work with children. Children. I am so knowledgeable when it comes to child development and all this stuff. Ashley, what she does, complete opposite.
Very.
She could not come into my world, and I could not go into hers. And there's times where I come home from work and I share with her about this thing, and sometimes she's genuinely like, I don't even understand what you're talking about. And then other times she's really curious and is like, oh, like, that's crazy, I didn't know that. And, like, we have, like, stuff to talk about, but we're in totally different realms of, like, where our passions are and what we do.
Also, I would be curious if you do end up dating someone with 2 master's degrees and is also getting their law degree, if you guys would vibe at all, or if there would be this sense of competitiveness.
Yeah, or if it's just a study partner.
How often is it that you, like, meet someone who's at your level and exactly what you're doing, and it's more of like, oh, well, I did this today and blah, 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 and I got this client today and blah, blah, blah. I think there's something really cool about having 2 completely different lives.
No, yeah.
It's interesting. It makes life very interesting. I'm not saying that you having the same, you know, career path or education path as someone else would be a deal breaker. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think you're selling yourself short of something that could be really beautiful.
Yeah, like, own the fact that you are a straight up boss. And, like, if you go into a relationship and you're like, yeah, I'm freaking way more highly educated than you, like, that can be just, like, a cool thing that you bring. That doesn't make you higher than someone. But, like, I think you yourself need to, like, own who you are and be proud of yourself and not diminish who you are.
Yeah.
But I think you need to separate out, like, do I only want this because I'm so surrounded in education? Or, like, is this a sign that I need to separate and start to get to know me as a person?
Yeah.
Not me as a master's student or law degree student, or, you know what I mean? Like, kind of separate it out. Like, bring out your fun side and, like, just give these people a shot, just like you would want them to give you a shot.
Yeah. It's so funny. So there was a period in my life when the guys that I was dating were financially in a lower category than I was. And Taryne called me out for this because this was something I was unintentionally doing, but also intentionally doing.
Oh, you were fully intentionally doing it.
Fun fact, I love designer bags. They are my go-tos. They always fit. They take every outfit, like, to another level, and I love wearing them. I could tell right off the bat that I made more money than these men, so I was not wearing them on my dates.
Yeah.
Is that something that Ashley does? no, I love my bags. I wear them all the time proudly because I spent good money on them, and I just love bags.
People don't understand designer bags unless they understand
designer bags.
And it is
and I was
not
worried.
for everyone, but that was something you loved, and that was something you diminished and dimmed your light
and I'm
to
not
make someone feel
comparing
better.
this to your master's degrees.
She's like,
In
well,
any way.
I have.
In any way. But
Chanel
I
bag.
was aware that I was like, oh, they're going to judge me based off of my Louis Vuitton bag or my Prada bag that I'm choosing to bring on my first date. So I wasn't bringing them. And Taryne was like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
You love those bags and you're hiding like a part of who you are. And I remember looking at her and I was like, you're so right.
You can't date people with like...
And if I was to go on a date with someone and they judged me based off of my bag, then I don't have any time for them, really. So I actually really appreciated Taryne telling me that. And this is what we're here to do for you.
Yeah, I just...
In summation.
I just feel like you are holding yourself back from so much. And I think you sound like a dope person.
Yeah.
Like you sound like you're someone who just like really puts your everything into stuff. And I just feel like you're missing out on like so much beauty that's in the world. And but what's cool is I think you're... Hopefully, I'm sure this all came across like different than what you thought we were going to say. And I want to be clear, like we're not throwing any shade at you
Not at all.
It's more of like where we're like,
we've all done it.
No, like look, it's funny because one of my upper division theology professors, he said this about. And this was a correlation of, he said that like people, especially like with Christianity, focus on these details that really don't matter and miss the bigger picture of like all really our religion is supposed to be is like loving people, right? And we don't do it well. And I think that's why a lot of people have problems with Christians and religion because we have a lot of people who have said they are and totally misuse what we're meant to do.
Yes.
But his analogy is something that I've taken with me, and I feel like it goes with this. He said, it's like if you go up to this window and you say, oh my gosh, look at this beautiful, gorgeous view. And you look at and you're standing there looking at this beautiful, like hillside, whatever it is. And the person walks up and is like, oh my gosh, look at this crack in the window. And their focus is on this crack in the window. And that's all they're focused on. And they're missing the whole beautiful scenery that's like right beyond that window.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're focusing on, this tiny detail, but really like I think once you get past this, you're going to see like the beauty that is out in the world that is left to explore.
Absolutely.
That someday when your education's done, you don't want to be left being like, what do I have to offer? Like, I'm not in school. Like, that's all I've known for the past however many years.
Yeah.
So I think that you're right on the cusp of something so great.
Yeah.
You need to keep dating this guy.
Yes.
You need to get out there and just get to know human connection. And if at the end of the day, you've noticed, well, most of the guys I like have been through masters because I can relate to them, that's fine. But have it be because I relate to this specific person, not because, oh, well, he has a master's.
Yes.
I think, oh, you're right there, and I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And I hope this didn't feel like a lot coming at you.
No.
But I just am very passionate about this, like us just like loving people for who they are, you know? And I don't want to be judged by stuff. So I need to really work on how I judge others. And I'm just as guilty of it, just as guilty. But
Anonymous. Confidence is sexy.
Yep.
So when you go on your date, what I would do mentally is I would flip things around. Instead of thinking, oh, he doesn't have a degree, like he can't compare to this in any way, or being slightly like not embarrassed, but slightly like feeling
dimming
your light and your accomplishments, I would walk into your date very confidently, be like, oh yeah, like I have 2 masters and I'm actually going for my law degree right now, and then see how they take it, see if they can handle it. If they can't, it's not a bad thing on them. It just means it's not a good fit. If they can, you get to have another date with them, you know? And it's a test to see if you're compatible, not if they're like lesser of a person.
No, and most guys, like most genuine cool guys would think that is sexy. Yeah. Like, oh my God, girl. Like, okay. Yes. Like, and they'll probably make a joke like, I didn't know I was with a genius. I need to make sure my grammar's okay. You know what I mean? Like, that is a beautiful thing about you, and you need to own it and not diminish it, but also you need to see the beauty in other people past their education.
Yes. Don't judge people based off of their designer bags.
Yeah. If she wants to wear her Prada, leave her alone.
Exactly.
Just don't spill on it.
Okay. Or their educational status.
Yeah. And if I want to bring a leg out, no, I'm just kidding.
Thank you so much for writing in. Wow. These topics today were great.
Loved this episode.
Guys, if you are sitting on a fun, interesting story that is different,
Juicy.
that like maybe has a little drama, maybe you're dating your ex's dad, like take this time to please write us a story, because we're living for this kind of drama.
We just love people.
We love drama.
Humans. Okay, so I have a dad joke for us.
Praise Jesus.
I love this dad joke.
I love dad jokes.
You do not.
I have grown to very much love dad jokes.
You know what? I realized my dad is a walking dad joke.
1000%. I thought that was very obvious.
He's a walking dad joke.
Yeah. This is where you got it from, your dad.
We were doing a trivia night, and the question was, what villains' sidekicks were called Pain and Panic? Which, do you know that? It's Hades from Hercules.
I was
Pain
just
and Panic.
about to
and
say.
he goes, "Oh, sounds like what I felt when I woke up this morning." And I looked at him and I was like, "You are the reason I am the way I am."
Yeah.
And then he repeated the joke until everyone in the room had heard it.
Oh,
and I'm
God.
like, "You're a walking dad joke."
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, what do you call a group of anxious dinosaurs?
Anxious sources.
No. Okay. I was going to say close, but I was like,
Pack of anxiety.
Nervous wrecks.
Oh,
It's so good.
that was amazing. Guys, thank you so much for making it to the dad joke. If you did, we love you the mostest. Be sure to follow us on our socials and send in those stories, because, again, we live for the drama.
Yes.
Okay, love you.
Love
Bye.
you. Bye.
We are sponsored by Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. Squarespace is everything to sell absolutely anything. Squarespace has the tools you need to get your business off the ground, including e-commerce templates, inventory management, a simple checkout process, and secure payments. Whatever you sell, Squarespace has merchandising features to make your product look their best online. As you guys know, I'm on YouTube. I do all the social things, and Squarespace is amazing because you can present your videos from YouTube, Vimeo, Animoto on your Squarespace site. You can add an image overlay to your video to improve your website's load speed by waiting to embed video players until playback starts, which I'm sure only my tech people followed that. And then, of course, you can display posts from all social profiles on your website, automatically push website content to your favorite social media channels so that your followers can share it too. So head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/advice, ADVICE, to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. From Wondery, Even the Rich pulls back the curtain on the lives of the rich and famous and takes a peek at the wild world of celebrity. In an all-new season, hosts Brooke and Arisha are telling the story of Janet Jackson. She was so huge at the peak of her career, she influenced the likes of Madonna, Mariah Carey, and even her brother, Michael. She was on top of the pop world, but in a fateful split-second moment at the 2004 Super Bowl, Janet's life and career took a dramatic turn. From Wondery, Even the Rich, Janet versus the Super Bowl looks back at her iconic career and the wardrobe malfunction that changed everything. In this all-new season, they track Janet's rise from the kid sister in the Jacksons family all the way to the fallout from Nipplegate when her breast was exposed on live TV to millions. Janet was torn to shreds by the media, setting an unfortunate trend for the way many female celebrities in the 2000s were treated. Who was to blame for that mishap? Even the Rich has the whole story. Listen to Even the Rich and Rich and Daily on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, or you can listen ad-free by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app.